Ambassador Tess De Vega for inviting the Zonda Club of Central Tuguegarao and the IBP Cagayan chapter for this legal aid caravan. We would also like to acknowledge that marami kaming Atenista dito, si Ambassador, Ateneo College of Loso. Binanggit din namin sa Ateneo Alumni Association that we're having this activity for the benefit of the Filipino community. So thank you very much for coming and for inviting us to shed light now. Kasi pinag-aralan namin kung ano yung magiging proseso, di ba? Kasi pagkatapos ng mag-asawa, syempre may mga anak. So this next talk will also be on the Filipino family, particularly on support and other aspects, no? Before I proceed, may I just state, kasi nabanggit kanina ni Attorney Mila, na pag merong recognition of foreign divorce, kailangan muna, no? Kasi first, especially kung yung spouse nyo ay foreigner and Filipino spouse kayo, then you will have to show proof na valid yung marriage to begin with. So yung pinakasal kayo dito, kung kinasal kayo dito sa South Korea, paano nyo malalaman na valid yung kasal nyo? So anyway, so you will have documentation to show that. But also yung apostille, so I suggested to Ambassador Tess, kung pwede, na in the Supreme Court website kasi, meron yung mga listahan ng mga countries that have the laws para hindi nyo na kailangan i-presenta pa yan, no? Para mabawasan nyo yung trabaho nila dito sa embassy. But if it is already in the website of the Supreme Court, then it will facilitate kung meron sa inyo na magpa-file sa Pilipinas ng recognition of foreign divorce. Kasi meron na nakalagay na batas ng Korea and it is translated, to be translated in. So I think siguro the Ambassador Tess, we can look into that so that will help facilitate you who intend to file petitions for recognition of foreign divorce in the Philippines. Okay? So, sige, after you get married, then you anticipate, you come up with a family, you're going to have children. So ano yung mga batas natin ukol sa mga bata at saka ukol sa suporta? So next slide please. Okay, so ito yung ating pag-uusapan in this section of the legal aid caravan.
Kasi
so,
di siya maliwanag from
here. Ng mga bata, no, nabanggit kasi ni Mila kanina na legitimate and illegitimate. But I will show you much further kung ano yung kaibahan at ano yung maging karapatan nila bata. And then also, what does parental authority and custody of children mean? And spousal and child support, I will expound on where she left off. Next slide, please. So, paano natin kina-classify yung mga bata? Napakasimple lang naman. Next slide. So, hinighlight ko sa red, no? Yung pagkaraniwan natin alam yung legitimate tsaka illegitimate. Pero meron actually mga sitwasyon na yung mga bata, no, they come into the world under different circumstances. So, there are those who are married, there are those who are not married. So, kung hindi valid yung kasal nyo, at they can still be considered as illegitimate children. If they are conceived and born during the marriage of the parents, kumbaga, valid pa yung kasal nyo, and the children are born during that stage, or they are conceived under artificial insemination, pero may kasulatan yan ha, bago ka magkakaroon, they are considered as legitimate children. Ang isa pa rin no, na magiging legitimate, yung etong legitimate. Sino yung mga batang legitimated? Kung let's say kayong mag-boyfriend, wala kayong impediment. Walang asawa yung isa, walang asawa yung isa. Kung both of you do not have impediment to get married, but you have a child, and then after you have a child, you decide you want to get married, and you actually get married. So after you get married, ipaparehistro nyo yan para yung bata na pinanganak,
maging legitimate,
magiging siyang legitimate. Kaya ang tawag sa kanila ay legitimated. Pero hindi ka pwedeng magkaroon ng legitimated child kung at the time that you had the child, yung isa ay married. So in other words, may impediment, hindi siya, kasal siya sa ibang tao at yung isa single. O pareho silang may their own marriages. No? So and they have, hindi yan magiging legitimate na child. Okay? So, lahat ito, yung mga natural born, yung ipinanganak talaga, no, ng mga mag-aalaga sa bata. We have also another way by which a child becomes the legitimate child, yung legal adoption. O, sinasabi kong legal adoption ha, kasi meron yung iba na sinasabi nila, i-adopt nila yung bata, but they don't go through the legal process. The good news is, the legal process is much simpler now. Okay? Let me explain how. So, next slide please. Okay? Nahin muna natin. Ano yung mga karapatan ng legitimate or legitimated children? They are able to bear the surnames of the father and the mother. So, principally, you can actually choose, no, if it's the mother, if there is a need for confusion. That is actually an option. But generally, tayo sa mga Pinoy, we really follow the surname of the father if the parents are married. They are also entitled to receive support from their parents, their ascendants, and the properties of their brothers and sisters. Mamaya, pag-usapan pa natin yan. To be entitled to the legitimate and successional rights granted to them. That will be covered later on by Attorney Keisha and Justice Raymond regarding succession. Pero ito yung basic ng mga karapatan ng ating legitimate and legitimated children. Next slide. Ano naman yung karapatan ng illegitimate child? Pag sinabi nating illegitimate, so hindi married yung parents, the mother's name is also always carried. If you notice, kung illegitimate ang child, minsan walang middle name. You cannot also put the middle name of the mother kasi hindi naman sila magkapatid. So usually, pag illegitimate child and hindi siya recognized by the father, it is only the surname or the family name of the woman that is carried by the child. That's the explanation. In some instances, however, pag ni-recognize ng biological father yung bata, ang ginagawa ay, first, either, alam mo yung, di ba, ating birth certificate, certificate of live birth natin, sa dorsal portion or sa likod, meron actually portion na nagsasabi, inire-recognize ng biological father, ito anak ko to, tapos pirmado, tapos notaryado. So that is item number 1, the record of birth appearing in the civil register. So, eto naka-file ito with the local civil register here in the, that's also one of the services provided by the consular office. And second, by admission in a public document or a private handwritten document is made by the father. So it need not just be the dorsal version of portion of the certificate of live birth, but any document that says that A, who is my biological son, and then pirmado niya, ina-admit niya na anak ko yan, nire-recognize. That is also a reason why the child can use the surname of the father. Sino ang pipili niyan? That's an agreement made, entered into between the father and mother of the child. Okay, but kung walang agreement na doon, automatic na yan, it is the surname of the mother for an illegitimate child. Third, to receive support from their parents and descendants similar to the legitimate child, to receive 1/2 of the legitimate of a legitimate child. Okay. So, ewan ko lang, just to illustrate, no? Kasi para, there's some kasi na ayaw nila na they remain as illegitimate children. Okay. FYI lang, para lang ma-enlighten yung ano yung situation. di ba nung kinasal si Gabby at si Sharon, actually hindi alam ni Sharon, meron na palang dati siyang kasal. Okay? So, na hindi pa naanal. Yes. Asawa ni Gabby. Okay. Okay. So, marites. Okay. And then, so nung pinanganak si Casey, ano ang status niya?
Illegitimate.
Okay. Fast forward. Kinasal si... Di ba naanal yung marriage ni Sharon tsaka ni Gabby? Correct? Tapos, nag-asawa si Sharon with...
Pangilinan, Kiko.
Okay, so kinasal sila. And then, so what happened? Inadapt actually siya. Why? So that the status will be moved. So she will also become a legitimate child. So that's the other way of becoming a legitimate child. So she is both, legitimate na siya, but you know, adoption kasi has to be done by both the spouses. So while illegitimate child siya ni Sharon yung naging legitimate child siya.
With pangilinan.
Okay. To establish a legitimate filiation the same way as legitimate children. So, in other words, if there is recognition by the public, then that is one way that you can prove that the child has been recognized by the biological family. Next slide, please. Okay, legal adoption. Ito na, kasi napag-usapan na natin yung sa natural children, yun yung mga way by which you become legitimate and illegitimate. But etong legal adoption, ang maganda nito, ang epekto is magiging legitimate child siya. So, remember that the best welfare and interest of the child is the primordial concern. Hindi kung ano yung preference mo, hindi pwedeng dahil gusto mo ng blonde, blue-eyed na bata, yun ang pipiliin mo. Okay. Why do I say this? Because in the Philippines, we actually have a system of batching. Meaning, kung wala kayong anak, balak nyo mag-adopt, there is actually a system by which you will be matched with a child. You can state your preference, no, but they will not, hindi ka pipili na may picture dyan na kung anong gusto mong mukha. No. They will see what your qualifications are and they will match it with the needs of the child. So it's always the needs of the child that is the very major concern. Okay? Now, the beauty of the new law is that isa na lang yung ahensya na kailangan mo to deal with. And that is the National Authority for Child Care, or the NACC, or through its regional offices, which is the Regional Authority for Child Care Office. Actually, this is still an office under the DSWD. The difference is, isa na lang yung ahensya na kailangan mong i-address kung gusto mong mag-adopt, whether domestic or inter-country. Okay? So, isa lang yung kakausapin mo. So, even the Inter-Country Adoption Board is now under the NACC, and the legally adopted child has all the rights and privileges of a legitimate child. Next slide, please. So, okay, what is the general policy? The general policy is really that every child should stay with their family. It is only in exceptional cases kung hindi kakayanin ng mga magulang o ng pamilya na alagaan yung bata, that the child is given up for adoption. And another policy is that the child should stay as close as possible to the culture to which he was born. In other words, kung pinanganak siya sa Ilocos, mas mainam kung maging mga parents sa mga Ilocano din, the same culture. Or if that is why the matching is done on a regional basis. It is when the child cannot find, or they cannot find a suitable set of parents, prospective adoptive parents, na mag-match doon sa pangangailangan ng bata, that they will resort to national matching and later on international adoption. Okay? So only when such efforts prove insufficient and no appropriate placement or adoption within a child's extended family is available, child adoption by an unrelated person be considered. So of course, ang priority is among the relatives, within the culture, within the region, within the country, before engagement. Okay? Next slide. So, there are two aspects, no? Kasi, domestic adoption, kung ang a-adopt ay based in the Philippines, and the child is also Filipino. So, regular relative adoption, step-parent adoption, and adult adoption. Kasi syempre yung regular, hindi mo kaano-ano, no? So, either na-match kayo, or somebody referred to you, and then, so it will also go, the child will also go through the processing. There are also instances, actually, mas magaan yung mga requirements when it comes to relative adoption. You just have to prove that you are relatives. Similar no, sa intercountry adoption, within the 4th degree of consanguinity. So that means, bibilang ka from the child to the parent, to the grandparent, tapos to the adoptive, the parent to the adoptive, and then dito, no? So within that 4th degree, babalik ka kasi to your common relative, a common ancestor, para pagbilang ka ng 1, 2, 3, 4 degree of consanguinity. Okay? So ganyan magbibilang ng 1st degree, 2nd degree, 3rd degree. So, kumbaga, kung first cousin o pamangkin mo, pwede mo siyang i-adopt. Ang kailangan lang is, under our laws, you should be at least 27 years of age. And yung bata na i-adopt mo, must not be less than 16 years your junior. So in other words, kung mas, like let's say 27 ka na, you can only adopt a child not younger than 11 years old.
11.
Okay? So kung dapat mas unless kinukup mo siya matagal na, no, na you have been taking care of the child for the longest time. So, yun ang domestic tsaka inter-country adoption. Okay, next slide. Okay, para lang makita nyo gaano kadali na lang compared to before. Kasi noon, ang dami mong kailangang kausapin para mag-adopt, no? Because iba yung mag-home study care report, and then may child study report. So, ang home study is the local social welfare development officer. Ang child study, ang DSWD. Tapos pupunta ka pa sa korte. Tapos magpa-file ka pa ng petition. And then, ang dami pang hindi na kailangan. Ang maganda nga yung participation ng Solgen is towards the end. Pag meron ka ng order issued by the Undersecretary. So, anong first step? Mag-a-apply ka or mag-i-inquire ka lang sa NACC at sa Regional Child Care Office, which you can actually do online. They have a very comprehensive, actually the website, no? Sa nacc.gov.ph. And they will require you to attend a pre-adoption forum. And then that's when they will issue you, after you have completed that forum, a certificate of attendance. Yung certificate of attendance, importante yan as part of the documentary, which is step 3, requirements to prepare the petition for adoption. And then, to support your petition for adoption, titingnan nila kung ano yung kakayanan nyo. Kaya yun ang sinasabi mong case study, home study report, of the prospective adoptive family. So, social worker will visit you and to look into the particulars. Ano yung hanap buhay nyo, kumusta yung pamilya nyo, meron ba kayong ibang mga anak. So, yung sitwasyon nyo. And then, if the petition and then all of these case study reports, you issued a certificate of attendance, they are all in place, no, to support your petition. The RACO, or the Regional Authority for Child Care, will issue an order to publish the petition para sa mandatory appearance at the center, at the office. So, Similar, no? In the past, we would also publish, but this one, at least lang isang publication. And then you transmit the petition to, they will transmit it, no? Pag okay na yung publication, itataas nila doon sa national office, and an undersecretary will issue an order of adoption, or in cases there can be denial, but you can file a motion for reconsideration. So if you look at it, you only have to talk to one agency, which is wonderful. No? If you experience what it's like, kailangan talagang matyaga ka noon, no, na to get all, kasi kailangan mo ng clearance, kailangan mo ng NBI clearance. You have to show proof that you are related to the, so itatrace mo yan kung ano yung birth certificate mo, birth certificate ng bata, yung mga kamag-anak involved, so maraming paperwork. But with the streamlining of the process, it will be more encouraging. And in fact, for you, no, who are considering relative adoption, I think this is the good time to file petitions. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, anong epekto ng legal adoption? Adopted children shall be deemed to be legitimate a child of the adopters, and both will acquire reciprocal rights and obligations arising from the relationship of the parent and child, including the right of the adopted to sue the surname of, use the surname of the adopters. Natural parents shall terminate, parental authority shall terminate and be vested in the adopters. Okay. Let's just also take this concept. Hindi natin pag-aari yung mga bata. No, they're not chattels. They're not property. No? They are persons. Kaya, ang tinatransfer natin is not yung bata as a thing. It is actually the parental authority that is transferred from the natural parents to the adoptive parents. So that is what we have to bear in mind. Kasi minsan, ang feeling, di ba, minsan na pag-aari ko yung bata, so dapat sa akin. Okay? So that's not it, because when we talk about how we plan for the child, it is always the best interest of the child that we should look after. No, kung ano yung maganda sa parang karapatan ng bata, tsaka kung ano yung pangkabutihan sa kanyang kabutihan. Next slide. Okay, what is parental authority? Next slide. Fathers and mothers exercise parental authority jointly over the persons of their common children. In case of disagreement, the father's decision shall prevail. However, hindi, sa tingin nyo, hindi makakabuti ito para sa mga bata. You can actually go through the judicial process, but it's not something that I would encourage. Kung kaya niyong pag-usapan. No? And then, even like I think one of the common is, saan titira yung bata? Kanino pupunta yung bata? Okay? And children shall always observe respect and reverence towards their parents and are obliged to obey them as long as the children are under their parental authority. Yun naman ang obligasyon ng mga bata. If they are under your parental authority, they have the obligation to show respect and reverence towards the parents. Pag namatay naman yung mga parents or absent, no? Kung isa na yung namatay, yung surviving parent will have the parental authority. Sa kanya na. Okay. Hindi pa involved ang lolo at lola. You have to respect what is the decision of the surviving parent. It is when both the father and the mother die that there will be things to consider. O, let's say naman, nag-remarry yung surviving parent. It will not affect the parental authority over the children unless the court appoints another person to be the guardian over the person and property of the children. I remember there was a situation na ni-refer sa amin, no? Kasi nag-asawa uli yung tatay, nabiyudo yung tatay. So nag-remarry. Eh yung bata over 18 years old. Pero hindi pa siya tapos sa pag-aaral. You will see later on in their support na kahit na nag-remarry siya, meron pa rin siyang obligasyon dito sa kanyang mga anak. Okay? In case of separation of parents, parental authority shall be exercised by the parent designated by the court. And what do they consider when they designate the court? Sa Pilipinas to siguro mamaya pag-usapan natin yung tungkol dito sa Korea. Next slide. Okay. Based on relevant considerations, especially the choice of the child, if the child is over 7 years of age. So, kailangan pipiliin ng bata kung over 7 years of age. Except if you can prove, if you can show reason why the parent is unfit. Okay? Because under 7 years of age, it is the mother. However, it is when there are compelling reasons otherwise that it will go to the father. So, but if there is no compelling reason, the general rule is under 7 years of age, there is no choice to be made by the child, the mother has priority. Okay? In case of death, absence, or unsuitability of parents, substitute parental authority shall be exercised by the surviving grandparent. In case of several surviving grandparents, the choice of the child, if over 7 years, if under 7 years, the best interest of the child pa rin. No? If like the grandparents, minsan kasi baka mag-away yung two sets, di ba? So, titingnan ng korte, or even like maybe on the level of the social worker, kaya na, kung sino sa kanila ang mas makakabigay ng mga pangangailangan at saka yung magdudulot ng kabutihan para sa bata. If there are no surviving grandparents, oldest brother or sister are actual custodian unless disqualified. I actually handled a case where apat sila magkapatid. The parents and the sister died in a fire. So tatlo silang magkapatid who were left. So their youngest sister was only 8 years old when the parents died, but the two other siblings were already of age. So instead of other relatives, yung isa, the eldest sister, became the guardian of the child. So pwede yan, no? If naman siya responsible. Which was also okay because actually medyo may mga assets na they had to take care of so that it would benefit the child. Well, happy to report that now they are already all of age and they all have families and they're all doing well. Next slide. Okay. Ano ang mga responsibilities